All right, hello, this is Rachel from 7 and All, and today I am inviting you to plan with me as I get ready for a new week of homeschool. I have my planner here. This is the Minimalist lesson planning planner from Schoolnest. This is my second year using the Minimalist planner from her, and I really like it. It meets my needs very, very well. So we're gonna be diving right into my planning routine. I will warn you, this is not the fanciest planner routine. If you know me, you know I have a practical streak a mile wide. So, I'm not opposed to my colorful pens. I'm not opposed to even an occasional sticker, but this is not super fancy planning. This is very more aimed toward practical and functional planning. Context, if you are new here, I have a first grader and a pre-K son this year, as well as a baby running around. I do use a lot of more open and go type of curriculum. So a lot of what we're doing each week is we're just keeping running with the same curriculum, doing the next thing. I don't have to do a whole, I purposely set it up that I don't have to do a whole lot of planning and prep and creativity in the middle of the school year, just because I'm a busy mom. I've got a lot on my plate, and schoolwork happens best when we can just keep rolling with what we're doing. But I'll show you the routine. So we've got first grade and pre-K. The core curriculum, and the one that kind of needs the most planning, is our Gentle and Classical Sequence 1, which is aimed toward my first grader. And this is where we're getting our literature, geography, Bible, kind of all of our riches subjects, and that's unit 16, but we are actually starting unit 17 this week. So as part of my planning routine, I will just grab out the teacher's guide right here, and we're on unit 17. So, and I'll just make little notes to myself here of what we are needing to do during unit 17. We are reading our Bible, and we have lessons 253 through 255 scheduled for this week. You can see that this is a storybook Bible, giant storybook Bible right here. Then also for Bible, we are reading Theology, lesson 43. And I know that this is all something that's going to be happening during morning time. So I'm just kind of jotting down so that in the early mornings, I am able to quickly remember, okay, yep, we read from the Bible, usually 4 days a week, theology, usually 1 day a week. Then we have our little short literature readings that are coming from the additional literature. We're reading one story from 50 Famous Stories, one from Fables by Arnold Lobel, and then we are reading The Tree in the Trail by Holling. So those are all short readings, and I just do one each day. So I just jot down. And these are things, of course, we're just working through, so it's pretty easy to remember. But just in case, I just remember, okay, we're going to do 50 stories one day, Fables one day, The Tree in the Trail. And then Sequence 1 does not schedule a folktale every week. They only schedule a folktale once in 6 weeks, but we love reading around here. So we've been doing a folktale every week. So, and I've just added in some extra folktales. So right now we are reading through some of the folktales in this, The People Could Fly. So that gives us 4 little scheduled extra readings per week. And usually on the 5th day, I'll just read a math picture book from our math picture books, or maybe a Spanish picture book, or just some other little fun reading for the 5th day. History is a big part of our core, and we are starting a new memory statement. We're starting to learn about some of America's founding fathers. So some of America's founding fathers are Benjamin Franklin, John Adams, Thomas Jefferson, George Washington. We're starting to become familiar with these people, their names, their characters. So we have our picture book scheduled here, Ben Franklin by Dallaire. Now, just looking at this, I already know when I was purchasing and acquiring books for the year, I went ahead and swapped this out with the Jean Fritz picture book about Ben Franklin. I grew up reading Jean Fritz books, so I enjoy them and the humor. So just want to show that, swapping out books doesn't have to be super complicated. You don't need a very difficult algorithm. You can just see, oh, we're supposed to learn about Benjamin Franklin this week, and get a book that fits you and that is accessible to you. We actually had quite a few Jean Fritz books in the homeschool library already, but we didn't happen to have this one, so I did buy that one from Thrift Books. So we will read that book, and this is a longer picture book, so I'm not like calculating it or anything, but I'm guessing I'll probably split that into roughly 3 days. Other history things that I just do as a standard part of our history right now is we will add him to the timeline. And I went ahead at the beginning, before the year began, and I printed out little public domain pictures of each of the main people we were learning about or main events we're learning about. So I am thanking my future self for that. I don't have to go and search out a Benjamin Franklin picture and print it. I did all that at the beginning of the year. Good job, beginning of the year, Rachel. So we will add him to our timeline notebook, and we will do some note taking. I am working with my son on foundational note-taking skills, which he's 6 years old. He's a very beginning writer. So at this point, he's not typically actually taking the notes so much himself, but as I am reading, I am saying, hey, interrupt me. Or when I pause, I say, what from that part that we just read do you think was important that we should add to our notes? And we've been doing that with the last couple of books we read. We read one about Isaac Newton, and we read one about Galileo Galilei, and I think that's been working very well, that he's been able to point out, oh, I think that was important. We should stop and jot that down. So I've been doing the physical note-taking, but I've been involving him. And, sometimes he picks something that was really interesting to him to take a note on that maybe I wouldn't have picked. And sometimes he picks things that, oh yeah, that is something I would have picked. No two people's notes are going to look exactly alike, but that's one way I'm just beginning to lay that skeletal foundation of note-taking, and also helping us to remember and review. We're working toward being able to orally narrate. What are some of the big ideas that you can remember about this character and this person? So that's our simple history thing. Sometimes we do add some extra hands-on activities. Like when we studied Jamestown, we ended up building a model of Jamestown at my son's request. I don't really think we'll do anything hands-on for Benjamin Franklin, but I do know that they suggested at around this point in Gentle and Classical Sequence 1, we could start watching the old Liberty Kids cartoon episodes, which sometimes I am looking for, hey, let's watch an educational video. So I will jot down that, hey, we could start checking those out. I don't think I've ever watched those, so I don't actually know much about them. But they're kind of taking place at the time getting into the American Revolutionary War. So that's an option if I want some educational video time. And then for our world geography, we are studying Ethiopia right now. If you can see this, they have, suggestions of what you can do with the On Mission magazine for this week. But I don't necessarily follow those. I mostly just go to the next section or go to the next page, but I'll just make a note to myself that, hey, Ethiopia, we're going to be doing that on Friday. What I also know is we are going to be wrapping up our current issue of Morning Virtues this week. So joy is the one we've been doing. So we are going to do our performance on Friday, which we're going to be doing our readings, which means we are going to be singing the hymn, Joyful, Joyful, We Adore Thee, and we're going to do it in front of Grandma and Grandpa, which make a great audience as we're beginning to learn some of these recitation skills and memorization skills, learning the basics of hymn singing. And then that means this week I'm going to go ahead and put together my new morning menu for our next issue, which is Hope. And our next artist we're going to be studying will be Winslow Homer and Florence Price for our composer. So I will put this on my to-do list to set up the morning menu for Hope, which I can go ahead and write that here. Set up menu, which we will not start this week, but we will start the next week. So you'll notice most of my planning things I do revolve around the riches, the literature. For math, English, science, we're mostly just rolling ahead in those subjects. They don't really require much extra planning. For the schedule portion, I will jot down any activities that are happening or anything that is scheduled for the week. So right now we are doing something very new this semester, and my son is doing a little after-school xylophone club on Mondays. New to us, something that is offered through the school where my husband works. So hey, we're trying it out. Then Wednesday, we have been able to very consistently have Spanish lessons in the evening with my husband just here at our home. A couple of little friends have been coming over, and my husband has been leading a Spanish lesson. We still very much have Spanish worked in throughout our homeschool day, but it has been nice to get my husband to do an intentional Spanish lesson with the boys and include a couple of their friends as well, who also come from a bilingual family. And then on Saturdays, we have our Awana. All right, then in my weekly spreads over here, I write down our subjects along this line and our days up here. All right, so I filled those in. I'll try to show you here. On the side, we have our morning time, which we start our day with, doing some of our sequence 1, as well as a homeschool languages Spanish lesson during that time. This is where I put both math and reading for my oldest. Spanish, we use multiple resources for working on Spanish literacy. So I'll jot down whatever we did. For history and geography, or history or geography, whatever we did. Science, and then Glenn's work. He's my pre-K'er. He does not have the same academic load as my first grader, so I just kind of put all of his math and reading stuff in here. He is a tag-along for science. He's a tag-along for a lot of what we do, but it isn't so much aimed at him right now. He does have some of his own stuff, so I just fit it all into one box. And then if we have anything fun going on, any outing activity, if they do a special craft with my sister, who is an art teacher, then I'll jot that down for the memories there. I do not write anything in this during my weekly planning session. You know, we're using Math with Confidence and we're using Beast Academy. I don't go into the math box and say, okay, I'm gonna write down Math with Confidence, week 25, lesson 3, or whatever. I don't feel the need to go and do that because I know we're going to do that. I don't write down what pages we're going to do in Beast Academy. Sometimes we do 1, sometimes we do 2, sometimes we do half a page. It depends on how difficult the problems are, how long they're taking, if they're challenging, if they're easy. We don't know. So I don't feel the need to do any previous planning as far as that goes. My page will look something like this by the end of the week, where I fill everything in. Thursday is our light school day, so we don't do our history and geography or our science on Thursdays. We do our house cleaning instead. Fun Thursday. Which actually reminds me, this Thursday, my husband is going to be home, so I should jot that down. And I haven't decided yet. A lot of times we don't do school if he's home, but this is not actually a public holiday or anything. So I might take the chance to do school and have it be a little bit easier with him around to help with the baby. I don't know. We'll see. But so I fill it in after based on the day. So yes, I don't record anything here. I just do record it after. And that does help me to keep in mind what's going on. And I'll write down sometimes specific lessons. Sometimes I'll just write down that we did it. Because to me, it doesn't really matter to record what page number we did in Beast Academy or what page number we did in Explode the Code. I just more want a visual memory and recording that, yes, we did do it. I don't know, what page number we did in Trabajando con Palabras. We just did the next page. We're doing the next thing. We're making progress. We're being consistent. That to me matters much more than recording specific pages. None of the other curriculum I'm using right now requires much prep. For my little guy, he is doing All About Reading, but I am reusing the same All About Reading that I already prepped for my oldest. We're in All About Reading Level 1, so all the pieces are cut out already. It really is just open and go when you use it the second time around. So there's very little prep I need to do. Sometimes I have a little bit of printing, especially if I want to add some additional history work. But when I'm thinking about this next week, there's not very much. Sometimes I will note down what skills are we really working on. And I just do this because, and I don't need to look up anything special. I just do this based on my own knowledge from what we were working on this week. I know with my first grader, we are working on fractions in Math with Confidence, and that's actually a pretty new concept for him. So that's something new. And I know that we're going into some double-digit subtraction. That is not at all a new concept for him. That will be quite easy, but with fractions, I know we'll be playing some games like Fraction War, but I already made the cards for Fraction War, so I don't have to prep anything there. For my pre-K guy, he is working on subtraction, not double-digit subtraction, just the basics. Just that basic concept, practicing subtraction. And let's see, he's got, recently had TH, SH, and I think we might be getting to CH now this week, most likely. So I might just jot down a few reminders of what we're working on. And a reminder, hey, I can have him practice on Cetera to do the US states after school. He's working on trying to get to 100% on doing that Cetera identifying all 50 states quiz. He's getting really close. He got over 90% completely by himself last week. So maybe we're a few weeks away from getting 100% on identifying those states. So yeah, that is my homeschool prep routine. The last part of it is that I will take my cards that are in these little folders. The last part is that I will take my cards that are in these little folders, and I'll just take out the ones that go with Unit 17. For Sequence 1, I will put away the cards I had out for Unit 16, and I will be all ready for a new week of school. I hope you enjoyed this plan with me video. If you have any questions, feel free to leave them down in the comments below. I am always happy to answer those questions, anything that you're curious about or interested in. I didn't mention it with science, but we've been using Sunlight Science A as well as astronomy from Apologia. And again, it's just, I just do the next thing. I do the next day. I don't have to do any planning with that. So that's why I don't write anything ahead of time. Sometimes I will look ahead at the experiment and see if there's any special supplies we need. The experiment we're doing this week, I already remember, is going to be basically about trying to keep something warm when you put it in the freezer, like insulation. So I already know about that. It's nothing new or difficult to find supplies for. So we're good to go. All right, I hope you enjoyed this plan with me video, and you can subscribe for more nerdy homeschool videos. I'll see you next time. Bye.